Good morning, everybody. Can everyone hear me all right? See me all right? Thank you very much for coming a little bit early, and it's not raining, so that's a good start. We are now Expo 16. I think this is our 7th Expo, so hopefully there's some familiar faces. And raise of hands have been here before to the Expos? Okay, that's a few, and a few, I know you have, Rob. Right, well, let's kick off. The not so exciting stuff, the health and safety bits involved, where the fire exits are, toilets and all that sort of stuff. So fire exits on this floor behind me here, the same on the lower ground floor where the other presentations are, and on the ground floor, they're at the back of the exhibition area going out the other side of the building. Toilets down here by the lift, at the back of the room on the lower ground, and also at the back of the exhibition area on the ground floor. If you're not sure or you get lost, just come and find a blue person or someone else, so I'm sure you won't get lost. So what's it all about? It's really about showing you the latest technologies from all the different manufacturers, some customer talks, what's happening in the industry, that kind of stuff. So there's a really big focus this year on VR. So VR is a big growing area, AR is also a big growing area, so we've got some really, really good speakers coming in from the industry. So you'll learn quite a lot today if you're not up on your VR side. We've also got cloud rendering. We could talk about that for a long time. That's another big topic. We've got the guys from Yellow Dog. You'll see downstairs in the exhibition area. So cloud rendering is another big growth area in our market space. So manufacturers tech here, you get to meet and network. We feed you as well, so you get a bit of lunch, you get something to drink. And there's a few prizes at the end as well, so which I'll talk about in a minute. So if you do have to go early on the prizes, just make sure you leave your lanyard and your label behind so you can still win if you're not here. So of course, our sponsors down at the front, you can wave your hands, gents. Okay, Autodesk, Radeon Pro, and then also our bronze sponsors, Chaos and Adobe. So Autodesk is always a great sponsor for us here. They're gold sponsor, Radeon Pro is silver. These guys are going to do a quick introduction about what they're talking about today as well. This tell you a little bit, very briefly, about Bluegfx. So here we are, what we do. My transitions are very bad in my PowerPoint, so I'm renowned for doing very unpleasant transitions, and they're going to get worse, just to warn you in advance. So we've been around for quite a long time, different offices throughout the UK, but head office based in Surrey, near Guildford. We've done, as you can see, for people here last year, we've done a whole new rebrand. So we've got a new logo, new website. And also, any stories you have, we're trying to do more and more social media content. So any stories you have, any good news, anything like that, please make sure you let us know, and we can share that information out there. We focus on lots of different areas. So Autodesk is a big part of our business. So 3D modeling and animation, workstations rendering, networking, and we're quite heavily involved in the cloud side as well, so both CPU and GPU rendering. So again, if you want to talk about that, please come and have a chat with us. We're extensively doing more and more IT support now for our customers, because the final point sort of sums up what we do. We try and have very much a consultative approach to our business. So we like to talk to people, we like to work with people and try and help them out. Now that is the worst transition, but that, come on, that at least deserves a round of applause. Right, we've got two exclusive announcements today, exclusive to Bluegfx. The first one is Sinai. They're presenting at 11 o'clock after this next slot downstairs, so I recommend you go and see that. They've basically developed some plugins basically for speed and workflow efficiencies in 3ds Max. So they're guys that have been in the industry for a long, long time, all the frustrations they had about workflow and speed enhancements, so they've got some really, really good products to have a look at. So I recommend you see that at 11 o'clock if you can. There's also a promotion on some of their software, so we're doing 20% off on their software, but they are around. They're also in the exhibition area downstairs, so definitely go and have a chat with those guys if you're Max users. We've got Bluezoo animation. I guess you've probably heard of Bluezoo, Miffy, Treefoo, Tom, all that sort of stuff. Tom's here. They're launching a new product, a drawing and 3D storyboarding tool. They did a production themselves, and they got stuck in making the workflow work efficiently for them, so they decided to write their own software package. So they're launching a product called a Panel Forge today. Tom's also presenting, and happy to chat with you about that. It launches in the early part of the new year. Now we've also got a hidden page. You should have these very nice little yellow cards somewhere. If you haven't picked those up, or make a note of the website. We've got a hidden website page for promotions that are on there on limited products and software. So as I mentioned earlier, Sinai have got their software available, so you have to go to that web page to get the coupon codes to all of the software. Chaos, we're doing 30% off on their V-Ray render stuff and 20% on their workstation licenses. Autodesk, we're doing 10% off all the products you can see listed there. That's on annual and multi-year. So again, these are all available on that website. Wacom, you can see their discount, and there's some good discounts on Adobe as well too. Workstation specialists, they're also downstairs, so make workstations, render nodes, servers, that sort of stuff. So we've got a promotion there. You need to spend a minimum of £2,000, but you then can get an Amazon Echo. Has anyone got an Echo yet? Crikey, no one. I feel bad because I've got one. My son bought me one. They are great bits of kit and quite entertaining. So there's some of those on offer as well. I think there's one in the prize later. So some of the highlights. Obviously, Autodesk are here. So obviously, they'll be talking about there's Max, Mars, Shotgun, Stingray. Have I missed anything out? Is that most of it? And a focus on some VR content as well there. So there are lots of good presentations going on. Some of them are in here and some later on in the sessions downstairs. Rob's here from Radian Pro at the front. So talking about GPU rendering, Rob, I believe. And obviously they've got some very good content and graphics technology for the VR market as well. So definitely have a chat with them. Chaos are here. Everyone familiar with V-Ray? I'm sure they're familiar with V-Ray. Yeah, one person put their hand up. Hopefully it's more than one. So they're talking about their rendering, the future of rendering technology. So they've got presentation slots, and that's again worth a look. I mean, a lot of the presentations are running simultaneously. So you just need to choose the ones which you prefer to go and view. We are filming most of the sessions today, so the content should be available as well afterwards. Adobe, talking about After Effects Creative Cloud, the latest updates there. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a really big focus on VR. The world of VR has just gone mad this year, and I think the content now, there's a lot more content, the quality is good, the delivery mechanisms are really, really good. So we've got different people in from the industry. So the guys from Curve Digital are talking about the kind of lessons learned in VR and setting up VR production. Rewind, you may have heard of those guys. They're talking about how customers and brands are engaging with VR. And these sessions all run simultaneously, I think, this afternoon. Ink Production Studio in London, they're talking about their CGI and commercials work, so that's worth a look as well. Blues, I mentioned, Tom, is Panel Forge product they're showcasing today for the first time. Sinai, they've had too many plugs already, so we'll move on to the next one. Yellow Dog, I mentioned downstairs. We've got Jack and Gareth here from Yellow Dog, so again, if cloud renderings are of interest, it's definitely worth having a chat with them. They've got support for most plugins, Max, Maya, V-Ray, Corona, etc. And they're working on the things like Arnold at the moment. So again, worth seeing those guys. Figment, Simon's a good friend of mine, so they've done really, really well. Done lots of work in VR and visitor attraction. So I think he's on the penultimate presentation today. So again, worth having a look at that. They've done some really great stuff. And then Framestore, we've got Alexis. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname because I'll get it wrong. But if someone knows what it is, they can let me know. He was almost not coming yesterday, but he is now coming. So he's going to talk about his work on Doctor Strange, which is the movie. Who's seen it? I haven't seen it yet. Raise your hands. So, okay, quite a few. Is it good? Yeah, okay, cool. Excellent. So that should be in there. So that's the final presentation this afternoon, straight this evening. So again, please, any feedback, if you can tweet staff, give any feedback on the event today, any comments, always really appreciated. It's just hashtag Expo16. So prizes, any prize winners in here? I'm sure I just recognise some faces from last time. So Rob is kindly giving away a W7100 graphics card, which is around somewhere, I'm not sure where it is. V-Ray, chance to win a workstation license. That's a user license of V-Ray, and that's either a 3ds Max or a Maya version. And these will be done at the end of the day. Jamie's got a few Autodesk t-shirts and mugs, which we'll also be dishing out. And there's also, we're doing a post-expo survey. So if you do this, we should get emailed tomorrow or Monday. There'll be a survey, just feedback, because we really need your feedback on what you like, what you don't like, what we can make better. Another chance to win an Amazon Echo. And so make sure you leave your cards and things behind. So enough from me. I can now hand you over to Jamie from Autodesk to tell you about what they're up to today.
Right then, morning everybody. So the good news is, well, bad news, depending which way you look at it, I don't have any special transitions on my slides. I can't compete with the stuff that Matt did. I mean, the curtain's amazing. Can't compete with that. So no transitions. Sorry about that. So first off, I want to add a really warm welcome from all of us at Autodesk. We do appreciate you turning up and attending the sessions from Blue. We understand the impact it has on your day because those deadlines are still there. The work is still there for you to catch up on afterwards. So on behalf of Autodesk, if you attend our sessions, we're really, really grateful for that time spent with us. So this is me. Not the angry little teddy bear. This bit is me. So I'm Jamie. I'm responsible for the UK and Ireland Autodesk products. So all of the tools that you're probably very familiar with, 3ds Max, Maya, some tools that you may not be too familiar with, like Stingray, Shotgun, and Flame and Luster. We're going to have a look at those in a second, but the most important thing that I please ask for you to take away today is that if you want to talk to us, we're here. My cards are just there over by the projector. All the guys have cards with them today. There's an expo stand downstairs where you can go up, see all the tools in action, ask for some tips and tricks. So if there's just one thing that you remember today, that's please get in contact with us. We are a friendly bunch. We will come out and visit you and come to your studios and give tips and tricks. So please take our details. Right, so this is what I was going to run through today. So what sessions are going on? A bit of news, a bit of updates, and a bit of how you can save a little bit of cash. So, first off though, I mentioned that I'm part of the Media and Entertainment division at the beginning, and there's a few people here that I'll introduce from Autodesk in a second. But when we talk about Media and Entertainment at Autodesk, it's these four main areas. So architectural visualization. So if you've picked up an IKEA catalogue, you'll know that that's, well, hopefully you'll know that that's all 3ds Max content with V-Ray as well. If you've watched any of the major VFX TV programs at the minute, if you've played any computer games, if you've been to the cinema recently, chances are our tools have been used in them. But when we talk about media and entertainment at Autodesk, we mean ArcViz, film, TV, and games. And there's a lot of sessions going on today with tips and tricks to speed up your workflows. So, if you attended last year, you may remember my session where we talked about how CG, VFX is booming at the box office at the minute and how consumers' expectations have gone through the roof. What we also discussed was how the number of VFX shots in the film world in particular has really increased. And this is a trend that we don't just see in the film world, where people's expectations are increasing, but the budgets are staying the same. We also see in the games world, and we see in ArcViz. So just a quick recap. If you think back to, and I have to be careful what I say because I know it's been recorded, so I won't say what I was going to say, but the amazing film Titanic, not quite what I was going to say, and then think back up to relatively present day, Avengers Age of Ultron, you'll see that the budget stayed roughly the same, 200 million over to 170 million for the production, but the number of shots that were produced drastically changed. So from 900 over to 3,000. And that's a trend that we're seeing rapidly increasing. And I'm sure if you think about the own work you're doing, you'll probably agree that what the end client expects and what they pay aren't always linked. Now, what we also did last year was we looked at how Guardians of the Galaxy was produced. 17 different studios, MPC and Framestore were taking the lead in London and distributing that work across various different global studios. And that's a trend that we've continued to see, and if anything, we've seen rapidly increase. And just think about managing that content. You know, just in your own studios or in your own education classes, you know how difficult it is just to speak with members of the team and get them to agree on certain things. Imagine dealing with 17 different companies, different time zones, different geographical locations. That's a massive headache. But one of the trends that we've seen this year, since we did the last expo, is this. And this is possibly the worst slide you're ever going to see out of me. But the US dollar is incredibly strong at the moment compared to our sterling, our pound. Now, I'm not going to ask which way you voted for Brexit, but if you voted leave, you were wrong. However, what we have seen is the pound has dropped, which means if we look at kind of again, I did say this is the worst slide you're ever going to see. If we look at January compared to where we are now, you can see that a US studio, a US production, for really good quality work in London, which is what we are known for, they're getting a lot more for the same spend. So what we've seen recently, and you might have seen the reports come out just over the past couple of days, that the creative industry in the UK has trebled compared to all the other industries we have in the UK. And that's driven by this incredibly strong dollar at the minute and the weak pound. And that's probably not going to change anytime soon, particularly if, can't say what I was going to say because it's being recorded. Right, so next session. Ultimately, this means more tools, more companies, more shots involved. in the film world. Same trend in the games world. More content, higher detail, higher polygon data, more studios, more outsourcing, and with ArcViz as well. We're seeing a massive trend in ArcViz for kitchen work at the minute, coming across to the UK to be done. So in short, if you're in the commercial world and you're not dealing with US companies at the minute, it might be worth having a think about it. Anyway, that's kind of a recap of what we discussed last year and a little bit of bringing us back up to date. But we're here to talk about 3ds Max and Maya. So, you have a number of sessions going on at the Expo. So for Maya, we've got 11 o'clock, Maya latest features, which is being driven by Morgan over there, taking a photo of his time so he doesn't forget to turn up apparently. Morgan is going to be doing the Maya latest features. I have to work with these guys, shocking. He's doing the latest features for Maya at 11 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock, there's a session on all the work we've done around motion graphics, simulation, effects work in the latest Maya. That's definitely a session to go to and attend. On the 3ds Max side of things, we've got a 3ds Max entertainment workflow delivered by Alex, and then followed by a design visualization session, again, at 3 o'clock, downstairs, room 1. From a VR point of view, Stingray, our games engine, I'll give you a sneak peek at this in a minute, but 4:15, breakout session 1, and a not-to-be-missed session with Shotgun, driven by Kevin over there on the corner at 5:15, near the end of the day. But that said, those are the sessions to attend, but if you can't attend them, the Expo stand downstairs, please make the time to go down, have a look, chat with the guys, throw your questions at them, and get the answers that you need straight away. Now, importantly, if you go downstairs to the Expo stand, we've got a whole host of these USB sticks full of content. There's video learning material for all of the products. There's about 4 gigabytes of data on there. You can't get it anywhere else unless you attend one of our events again in about a week or so. But you can't get these anywhere else, and they're full of about 4 gigabytes of data. All video material for 3ds Max, Maya, Shotgun, Flame, Luster. All the tools that you could imagine. Please do what you want with the content on here, share it with your friends, sell the key on eBay, do whatever you want. But definitely go downstairs, register your details, and get your USB stick. So a quick glimpse as to the Maya session that you're going to see later on by Morgan. This is some of the work we've done called Boss. Terrible music, I know, which you might hear in the background, but this is our ocean simulation tool set inside of Maya. This is all live captures from the viewport, mixed with a few Arnold renders as well. But this is what you can get straight out of the box in Maya 2017 now. Imagine getting that content just 12 months ago. But this is all in viewport, calculations for very complex simulations, but using the presets to get you this type of interactive simulation workflows. We've done a huge amount of work into Maya for this type of fluid simulation calculations. And it doesn't just do fluids, it does an aero solver. There's a whole host of technology that Morgan can go through and show you how to get the best out of it. But you can see the work we've also done to the viewports to just display that data in the highest quality it can possibly be. So definitely worth attending the Maya session to see that in more detail. The 3ds Max entertainment one is a particular highlight for me. No matter what industry you're in and how you're using 3ds Max, I'd recommend you attend this one because we look at some of the games and film workflows. We're going to dive into the Witcher project if you've played that game and see how they use 3ds Max to create it, with a bit of a glimpse at some of the Bluegfx workflow, all with 3ds Max and Motion Builder. If you haven't heard of Motion Builder, it's our motion capture animation tool set, incredibly powerful when used with 3ds Max or Maya. And just a quick bit of random information, but Bluegfx had over 1,600 different unique characters created. Imagine the complexity of that, all done inside of 3ds Max. So attend that session and you'll find out a little bit more. Stingray, the VR session. So if you haven't seen Stingray, this is the end output that you can expect. This was actually a V-Ray scene. So we have a V-Ray converter to take data into Stingray, our real-time game simulation. And this is just a straight capture from what you get out of Stingray, with all of the real-time reflections, scene and object reflections, with all of the high-end effects like chromatic aberration, ambient occlusion, all built into the workflow. And what's really nice about Stingray is you have this live link between 3ds Max, Maya, or Maya LT straight into the engine. So none of that horrible bottleneck of exporting, taking out data, re-importing it in, has a live continuous link to the engine and whatever output end platform it's going to. All the time it's constantly being updated. Now, as you've heard, VR is the big trend at the minute. Stingray is VR compatible, straight out the box. Oculus and Vive support are natively in there. Plus, if you go the source code route, you get just that, the actual source code that's used to create Stingray, and we give you a full API to allow you to connect to whatever VR device you want to. Even if it's your own proprietary tool, you get the code to do it. So again, attend a session with Stingray and you'll find out that in much more detail and see it all live in action. Now, if you think back to the beginning session, we were talking about distributed content, multiple different studios all working together. Our tool set to solve that complications and those real difficult processes of sharing the data, client review and approval is Shotgun. If you've not seen it, if you've not tried it, the Shotgun link at the bottom is shotgunsoftware.com. Sign up, you'll get a free eval version that's unlimited use with full functionality. If you're education leader, your class lead can request free copies of Shotgun so you can use it. So when you enter production, you know the tool straight away. But Shotgun is one of the fastest growing products that we have at Autodesk because everybody at the moment is looking at their pipeline and trying to make it as efficient as possible. Shotgun does that. So if you've not seen any kind of pipeline management tools, then Kevin will take you through it later on. But just a kind of a quick overview as to the type of companies that are using it, all the big names that you would expect. So Frontier, if you've played Elite Dangerous, made by Frontier over in Cambridge. Brown Bag Films, if you've watched Octonauts or pretty much Peter Rabbit, any of these kind of children episodics, Brown Bag make that. Frame Store, Foster & Partners use it, Playground Games, Passion Pictures. In the Shotgun session, you'll get a glimpse as to how Passion Pictures use Shotgun within their studio for everything. And of course, Milk, if you've seen any of the Sherlock's, Doctor Who programs, Shotgun is the pipeline to allow them to distribute and get that data out as possible. But on all of those projects across the top, and that's just a very quick glimpse, Shotgun was the backbone for sharing that data around. Now, we've got multiple different products. One thing I will just very quickly mention as well is Autodesk has a color grading, editing, compositing, full timeline application called Flame. One thing, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but one thing I do want to mention is Flame is now Mac compatible and it's software only. Again, if you're in education, your education leads can request free copies of this. Well, what's really important about this is you might have heard about other tools like Nuke Studio, Nuke, for instance, After Effects. This tool has been around for over 20 years and is used by all the high-end film studios and commercial studios for doing the final polishing, all of the editing workflow, all of the color grading workflows when used with Lustre. Flame is the tool that does all that heavy lifting. I am a bit of a sales guy, so I do have to apologize for this, but there has to be one slide that has some prices in. But basically, you can get Flame for less than you pay for a Nuke Studio, and you get a lot more features. File in and out, stability, everything about Flame is designed to be having a customer looking over your shoulders. You make the changes in real time and get that project out the door as quick as possible. If you haven't seen it, I'd really recommend you have a look at it in more detail. What you will have seen, though, is the output from Flame and Lustre, predominantly Lustre in this case I'm going to speak about. Autodesk.com Flame is where to go to get more information. But if you've seen any Marvel project, it's been color graded by Autodesk Lustre. If you've seen The Revenant, it was color graded by Autodesk Lustre. It's incredibly powerful at color grading workflows and very, very powerful when mixed with a Flame pipeline as well. Go and see the guys downstairs on the expo stand there, go through all this in more detail for you and show it live on action on a really terrible laptop Mac that's incredibly old. It's the worst performance you're ever going to see, but Flame will fly on it. And that's what's really important because we've put a lot of work into making sure it goes incredibly fast, even on the latest hardware. A couple of things I want to mention. The guys from Blue are going to send you all this info out anyway. But there's a number of web sessions Autodesk are running over the next few months, going into all of the programs in much more detail. So you'll get links from the guys at Blue to tell you all the info, WebEx sessions, diving into recent projects, updates, tips and tricks. Another bit of info. You might have heard of Autodesk University. It's a big event that happens in Las Vegas. We're now going to do one in London as well. This is basically 2 days of masterclasses from Autodesk and from customers, and they are really big name customers. But we're also on the lookout for extra sessions and proposals at the minute. So if you've got something that you want to show using an Autodesk tool, get in touch because we're doing an AU University in June. Now, cost saving bit. If you're an existing Shotgun customer, please swap from monthly to yearly. You will save an incredible amount of money. I'll go into that in more detail later on, but just come and find me or Kevin and we can talk you through this process. But you will save a lot of money if you swap from monthly to yearly. Subscriptions, whether it's a rental new license or whether it's a maintenance, so you've had a permanent perpetual license for a number of years and it's on this plan, I would really strongly recommend you price lock for as long as possible. Think back to what I was saying at the beginning where the US dollar to the pound is weak at the moment. I would really strongly recommend that you lock those prices for the longest possible term that you can do. You will save a huge amount of money by doing that. We want you to spend your money with Autodesk in a wise fashion. So price lock-in for the longest term will allow you to do that. And then there's various different versions of Stingray, but if you want full source code with unlimited access for as many studios that you want to under your umbrella, then source code is the way to do that. So on that note, I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Rob from AMD, but before I do, just a quick reminder, take our cards, visit us in the expo stand at the bottom, and most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.
I'll just shout, it's easier.
Sure.
I'll just shout, it's easier. I have no transitions, I have no slides. So I'm ready for a hard transition. I'm from AMD, we've rebranded recently, so that's why it's Gradion Pro. My other has been red. We've been red for 11 years, now it's blue. I'm not saying anything about that, but it's all good. We have a stand downstairs. We have a couple of our developers there. They don't come out in the sunshine very often, so please be gentle with them. We're showing Gradion Pro Render, which is a free plugin, with Ray Tracer for Max and for Maya. We're also in a competition with 3D World, so if you do use Pro Render for something, there's a chance to win a £2,500 workstation. So there's detail on the stand. We've also got VR on our stand as well. We've got some Stingray demos, we've got some stuff from Rewind, so come please have a play. At 2 o'clock we have a presentation by one of our developers that don't go out in the sunshine very often, talking about Pro Render and some of the technical things about it. And that's it, my 30 seconds. Thank you.
Right, we've got 15 minutes, so the next presentation here is going to be Morgan with Maya, and then the Sinai guys are software production builders, so they're downstairs, they're ground floor. So you've got 10 to 15 minutes to grab a drink, and we'll see you next